A grand jury in Texas has decided not to indict a former cop from McKinney, Texas, by the name of Eric Casebolt. Apparently, he was the cop in question when there were accusations of police brutality during a fight at a pool party. Now, the fight was between two adult females, both of which were white, but Officer Casebolt showed up, and here's what happened.
Why is he acting so crazy?
Hey, Rick, Josh, on your face!
So the grand jury decided that there was not enough evidence to indict him. Can we just watch the first part of that video again? Just one more time.
Yeah. Let's
And by the way, he dropped like he left something there. He dropped like his nightstick or something because another cop came.
Who needs a nightstick when you have a gun that you can point at, black teenagers?
What was interesting, I read the defense of what happened there by another cop, not a defense of that cop's action, but like, hey, lost in the story, there were some good cops there. There's video.
There were.
Some other cops. Right, the other cops. He started taking his gun. They were like, Larry.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Yeah. They tried to stop him when he pulled his gun out and he just started pointing it at the teenagers there. Look, here's the thing. Whether you agree or disagree about police brutality in that video, the one thing that you cannot deny is that police are supposed to de-escalate the situation, and that is not what he did when he came in with a barrel roll, right?
Totally.
Like,
I think he tripped. I don't think he barrel rolled.
Can I watch this one
I don't
more
know.
time?
It feels like he was.
I know. It looked this time. I saw it a lot when it happened. I think he tripped.
Look at him running toward them.
Out of the way, he yells to that girl, and then we don't really see the moment. No, he definitely fell.
You think
definitely
he fell?
He fell.
What is he doing?
But I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still worth watching because he fell.
Yeah.
And he left his flashlight or nightstick down because another cop's like, and then, they're like, obviously it's Larry's.
Yeah.
And the reason he can get indicted, Maywood, to give the benefit of the doubt to the grand jury or to the prosecutor there, it's incredibly hard to convict a police officer. I mean, we need to make it a little easier to convict a police officer. Then more of them will get indicted because it's easier to convict. They can't in good conscience get an indictment if it's going to be impossible to convict. But I hope, most importantly, is that guy, what's his name?
Eric Casebolt.
Eric Larry Casebolt. I mean, I hope, has he been fired?
Well, he's no longer a cop, so I don't know
he
if
said
he was
he
forced to
resigned
resign.
after. Yeah, I think
he was probably forced to resign, which, by the way, I mean, look, I'm happy with that outcome.
Mm-hmm.
At least he's no longer a cop. What always worries me is when you have clear cases of police brutality. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Watching that video, he was unruly.
Right, terrible. He was a terrible cop.
He was a terrible cop. That's not the worst cop video we've seen.
No,
I mean,
not
we're
close.
so desensitized by the police brutality where unarmed people are literally running away from the cops and they get shot and killed and then they don't get indicted. Like, those are the cases that we're constantly dealing with. I'm just happy that he's not policing anymore.
That girl was theoretically okay, at least.
She's okay.
At least physically okay. And
do you know, I wanted to go with the point you mentioned where it's very difficult to convict a police officer. I also think it's very difficult to convict a police officer, especially with the area that it's in, right? So McKinney, Texas, I did a little searching. I'm not sure if you guys did it, or if you did the story before when it first came out.
Yeah, we did.
And according to the story, I think BuzzFeed ran the report, the whole altercation that caused the police officers to come to the area is because one woman shouted at another, go back to Section 8, right? Mm-hmm. So it sounded like something from the Hunger Games. I didn't know what it was. So I did some research where the area is somewhat segregated. There's a highway, the east of it is a certain area where the population of whites is 49%, and then in the other more suburban areas, it's around 89% whites in that area. So the area itself, although it was run in an article that was considered one of the best places to live, it also went on to say that they've got some problems with diversity and equity, especially when it comes to a police officer who's coming in full pelt, looking to try and de-escalate a situation. It's obvious that this guy had sheer like thought process that I'm going in, and as soon as I see the first black person that may be involved in an altercation,
I'm going to war.
That is what he's thinking. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe he was ex-military, if he thinks that he's still in a war-torn situation, but he's coming in an area which, according to many reports, is still segregated, and he's coming in and he's thinking to himself, not even looking at the situation to de-escalate it, but he's thinking, if there's a skin color that's standing around not doing what I would personally want them to do, I'm going to use all my force.
Yeah, we don't.
Just ask a few questions before
that's all you're asking for. That's all you want.
Before you take a physical action, right? Like, you show up to the scene, there's been some sort of altercation, ask a few questions, figure out who's in the wrong, right? Don't cause more chaos. You cause more chaos, you start getting physical with people who might not be doing anything wrong at all. Yeah, it's going to escalate the situation. That's exactly what happened. You look at that video, and yeah, it looks like a lot of commotion, but part of that commotion is caused by the fact that
entirely him.
Yes, exactly.
And we see on that video, if you let the full thing play, there's at least one other cop, I think 2 other cops, who you hear talking to these kids, and here's what they're doing, talking. And at one point, too many people were talking, and the cop went, "Hey, quiet down. I'm talking to," like it was nobody.
Fine.
Right?
Yeah.
They were taking charge and calming it down and being and he wasn't on his gun. There's nothing. He was talking to them.
Yeah.
And we don't know whether this guy's racist. And obviously, this was a particularly bad situation in light of what we know to be true about black communities and police officers. So let's not kid ourselves. Obviously, that's an issue. But this guy may well just be, I mean, we've seen police brutality with powerless white people, and obviously with powerless brown people. The key almost always is the powerlessness of it. And this guy, I don't know whether it was racial. I know that any sort of tense situation, this guy should not be there, no matter what, whether race or not. He got to go, and thankfully he's off the force.